it's Alfredo Hertz again. In this video I'm going to show you a few concepts to keep in mind while learning how to sweep pick on the guitar and how to sweep on the guitar. A lot of guitar players will argue that sweep picking is the most difficult thing that you can do when playing the guitar. I personally disagree. I think that expression is the most challenging part about playing the guitar, so just keep that in mind. For this lesson you're going to need a guitar, a pick, an amp, a big mug of coffee, the bigger the better, maybe a bucket or a swimming pool, whichever amount of caffeine that it's going to take to make you want to play faster. Anyway, at some point I had a guy email me after watching the Say What solo video that I have here on this YouTube channel, and it's also in my album Raw, which is now available on iTunes, and it's also the song that's playing at the beginning of this video. And this guy emails me to tell me that my sweep picking technique is wrong because even though it sounds right, I'm not doing circle motions with my picking hand, and when you sweep you're supposed to make circles with your picking hand. And that works for some people, it doesn't work for me. And just remember that technique, the sole purpose of it is to have you sound right, to play things right. If it sounds right, you're using the right technique. So feel free to experiment any way that you want. If you hear about a technique, try it, but don't confine yourself to it has to be this way. It doesn't have to be a certain way, only the way that works for you. An important element of sweeping is using shapes that you're familiar with. That way you're not thinking about what you're going to play next. For this video I'm going to use the A minor shape, the open chord shape, and everyone is familiar with that shape. If you're not familiar with it, then you might want to learn it before you try to jump into sweep picking. We're going to grab this shape and we're going to move it up an octave in a bar chord shape, bar chord form. We're going to play it on the 12th fret. So what you're going to get is the same shape of an A minor open chord, just an octave higher. It's going to have A, E, A, C, and B. We're going to add two notes, and we're going to call these notes the turnaround notes. And what they're going to be, we're going to add a C on the 5th string on the 15th fret, and we're also going to add an A in the high E string. It's going to be on the 17th fret. And we're going to use these notes for the sole purpose of turning around, and you'll see what I mean in a few seconds. The most overlooked aspect about sweep picking is muting. That's where most problems come from for most players. You want to make sure that only the string that you're picking is the one that is ringing. And the way to ensure that is you mute the lower strings with the palm of your picking hand, or at least that's what works for me best. None of these lower strings are ringing because I'm resting the palm of my hand on them. And to ensure the higher strings being muted, I'm resting the index finger of my picking hand on them. That way, once again, only the note that I am picking is the one that is ringing. Now we'll work on the motion of our picking hand, which is another problem that most guitar players have when we're trying to practice sweep picking. Is that we're so used to alternating that we tend to stop the pick before it hits the next string that we're supposed to hit in sweep picking motion. The best way for me to practice that is at a slow speed. Just when you hit a string, make sure that the pick rests on the next string that you're supposed to hit when you're sweeping. Right? As an example, if I want to play this A in the 12th fret of the 5th string, the E in the 14th fret of the D string, and then the next A, which is on the G string on the 12th fret, on the 14th fret, my bad. When I hit the A, the pick rests on the D string. When I hit the D, the pick rests on the G string, and so on. Same thing with an upward motion. You want to make sure that the pick is resting on the next string you're going to hit, and so on. Now let's try the entire lick. Once again, we're using this A minor shape up an octave. And just so that you can visualize better and easier what you're doing, and that way you're not thinking about it. And like I said before, we're going to add our turnaround notes, which are this C and this A. What we're going to do is pick the A with a downstroke, and then hammer on our turnaround note, which is the C on the 15th fret of that same string. And now we're going to do all downstrokes following the chord shape while paying attention to our muting. When we hit this E, I check that my muting is correct. Then I get to that A, that follows, making sure that my muting is correct, which wasn't this time. Then we're gonna hit the C. Once again, make sure that the muting is correct. The muting hand is resting on the strings and the index finger is resting on that high E, and so on. Just make sure that the motion is all downstrokes. Once we get to that E, we're gonna hit our next turnaround note, which is the high A on the 17th fret of the first string. We're gonna hit that with an upstroke. So what we're gonna get is all downstrokes up until this E, and then we're gonna hit the A with an upstroke, and that's where we turn around. That's why I call them turnaround notes. And then do a pull-off to that high E again. And now we're gonna do the same thing, just in upstrokes. Actually, just one upstroke. All the way to our next turnaround note, which is that C, and a pull-off to that A. Once again, it's all supposed to be just one motion. It's not supposed to be many motions, because you're resting the pick on the string that follows. When you play that at a higher speed, one motion down, one motion up. Once you get the basics down, make sure you practice the lick at a slow speed first, and then slowly increase the speed with a metronome, which is the most recommended way to do it. We're gonna use two approaches to practice this lick. In one, we're gonna fit all our downstrokes in one beat, and then all our upstrokes in another beat. So in one beat, we're gonna get this, and in the next beat, we're gonna get this. Those are 6 notes in one beat, which is what we call a sextuplet or a 16th note triplet. On our next approach, we're gonna fit only 3 notes in one beat, and then the next 3, and then the next 3, and then the last 3. And that's a triplet feel. That will help you feel the lick better. So in one beat, we're gonna get this, then the next we're gonna get this, then the next beat we're gonna get this, and then the last beat. And we're going to loop the lick for practicing purposes. How did this happen? We're gonna try this lick with 2 different approaches. In one, we're gonna fit all the downstrokes in one beat and all the upstrokes in another beat. We're gonna try this at 60 beats per minute, and we're gonna loop the lick. And this is what it sounds like. Anyway, that's the idea. Just make sure that you practice very slowly, make sure that the motion of your right hand is correct, and that the muting is right, and then just feel free to experiment and make your own sweeps, make your own shapes, work with whatever works for you again, and that's about it.